So we're looking over here?
We're looking right here.
Okay. So go ahead.
And that's going... Okay.
Yeah.
As you can tell from the thumbnail, yes, we did buy an abandoned property in Northern Maine.
We did.
It's his fault.
So how did this all come to be? So if some of you remember, somebody that's been with us for a while, my dad and I went to Northern Michigan to see his friend from the Air Force, and we also went to the Upper Peninsula. And part of that trip was to look at some acreage up there, to possibly purchase some acreage, maybe clear it, put a little
That
cabin.
was our first
That was our first
thought
plan.
was
and that's
we
going
want some
back
land.
3 years,
Yeah.
or 2.5.
Wouldn't it be great to have some property,
Yeah.
some acreage?
A little space.
And then we've always liked the idea, we like the videos on YouTube of homesteaders and clearing
Yeah.
the land
Yeah.
and building a cabin.
Yeah. Just
How hard
enjoying-
can it be?
Well, enjoying the simple things of life.
Right.
So
we like that challenge for ourselves, and we're getting older and just kind of looking in the future. Is
Right.
this where we want to be in Pennsylvania for the rest of our lives? And we decided,
We don't.
no, we don't.
but we'll always be connected to this area.
Oh, of course.
I mean, I think we'll always have,
We have
a house
family
here.
and friends here, so of course we will.
Right, but we also want to be where we want to be as we get older. So back to
You were looking at property in Michigan.
right, because it was affordable,
Mm-hmm.
and
And there's a lot of woods.
it's a lot of woods, and it's a nice area. When I was making the drive, that's when I realized, regardless of the opportunity to purchase some land, it was just too far. I mean, like I would
How
love
many
to.
hours was it?
It's like a 20-ish hour drive.
Yeah, that's
I
like
mean,
driving to Arkansas.
or maybe.
Because
Yeah,
Arkansas
it's-
is about 20 hours.
Yeah. So it was just like, like if I would have a week's vacation, how much, I mean, I'd lose days just driving and being tired. So I'd get like 3 days of work to go up there and then be driving all the time. So
Turn around and have to come right back.
so that's when we decided pretty quickly that wasn't a good option. And
So then we've always liked Maine.
Yeah.
Even before,
Yeah.
the first time we went to Maine was in 2018, and we took my mom
Yeah.
up to the Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival in New York, and we decided to go all the way up to Maine and kind of loop down and then go back into New York. And I always, before we'd ever been to Maine, had you been to Maine before?
I think my parents probably took me there
Yeah,
when I was
when you were
younger.
little.
But
I always associated Maine with like green and cool, and of course lobster. But I just always had like a fascinated view of Maine. And we went on our honeymoon to Vermont, which was pretty close to Maine.
Yeah.
But I always liked the idea of the state of Maine.
Yeah.
And so then when we didn't do Michigan, then we kind of like geared towards, well, what about Maine? We've been there before. We liked it.
After taking your mom up there. And we didn't even get very far into Maine. We only
this was
got
like 2 years ago. We started like looking.
Right, but we only got up to like Kennebunk and also Portland.
Yeah.
So we didn't even, and that's the very bottom of Maine. So we didn't even really explore. So we did that, and that's when we started to think that maybe Maine could be an option. And then, what was it? A couple years later, we took the camper up.
We went
to-
there on vacation.
Right, to Mount Chase, which
would
was a
say that was 2
campground.
years ago,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was Shin Pond Campground, which is very nice in that's in northern Maine.
We were there in the fall.
And we were there in the fall, and besides having some camper issues, which I think we probably addressed those in a
We've
previous
talked about
video.
this before. Our tire caught on fire. No big deal.
Well, okay, it didn't catch on
That's
fire.
the short version.
Yes, the short version. But so that's when we got up into northern Maine, and I don't know if that's in Aroostook County or not, but it's
up
very
there.
close. It's up
Yeah.
there, and that's when we did a day trip up to Holton.
Yep.
And we walked the dogs. I think you filmed that.
Yeah.
And that is in Aroostook County. That's when we started to think maybe Maine's an option, because it's far, but not that far. It's 12, 13 hours
You could
to
get
northern.
there in a long day.
A long day, but that's to northern Maine.
Right.
You can get to Portland in 6 or 7 hours, but to get to northern Maine, Aroostook County, that's like 12, 13 hours. So that's not too bad, at least in my book. So that's when we started looking, and then there was a couple episodes in the last, because we actually purchased this property a year ago.
Because the footage I'm going to show you is from March
Right,
of
last year.
2023.
Right. And just so you know, just a little precursor.
It's going to be really good.
Well, it's come a long way. So what
Yeah.
you're going to see, it looks nothing like that right now, and that's a good thing. But
We're going to share, and just to preview, this is the initial walkthrough when we first got there, and then we have a series of photos, and then we're going to have more video.
and you'll be plugging that in
Oh, yeah.
throughout this video. But
Yep.
so then there was a I can't remember if that little
The one in
property,
Holton came up, the one in town.
or the one that we drove by.
Yeah, and I was like, no.
What, the rough one or
Yeah.
the? Okay, yeah, that was pretty bad.
I
but-
don't know. It
but
just
we didn't
I
even.
didn't really like it. But then you were looking at property. And you
Right,
wanted,
then I started going on Zillow.
Yep.
Not a paid sponsor. But and then we
about auctions. Like,
yeah, auctions and
was
then
it auctions or was it?
no, it was just on Zillow.
Zillow,
So we
okay.
found one that was it was kind of like it was like a historical building. I can't remember what the heck it was. It was for a town, I think in Lincoln.
Yeah. I'll have to see if I can insert a picture.
And we bid on it, and I really thought we were going to have it, but we got outbid. But I think we got outbid by like a historical society that was going to redo it.
Yeah.
And so we just
We're like, oh well.
yeah,
we'll
right, it
do
wasn't
that
meant to
one.
be.
So then we went back to acreage because that was
Right, then we went back to acreage.
Houses, yeah.
Right. So then there was, I told Dagny one time I was working, and there's Charlie.
This is Charlie's our little bear.
Yeah, little bear, little Maine bear. But and I told Dagny, so there was like a 48-hour window where I had purchased 2 different plots of land, not too far from each other, but also not that close. Where like within 48 hours we could have had like a 25-acre property, just land, and a 40-acre property, just land.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, probably thankfully we got outbid on both those.
Yeah.
But I really thought like I had a number at a certain level, and I really thought that we definitely should probably get one of these. But then I thought, we actually could get both of these, and then we'll have to figure that out. But it wasn't meant to be. That's kind of how we took it.
And then we decided, let's go back to a house. Even though we would love the idea of, you clear the land, you build a cabin,
Right.
even if it was a dry cabin,
Right.
that you do this. And then we realized we don't know really, we want to learn how to fix
Sure.
the house. That's one of the reasons why we got this house was to learn how to fix things up. But would in reality to take the time and the
Right.
not like construction, but like equipment to
Right.
really clear a land. How is that really?
Is that possible? Especially as I get older. And
Yeah. So we decided, okay, let's go back and look in houses in town.
And right, if we find something, and affordable is a part of the equation, and not looking for a finished house, looking for like a project house, maybe we would find something that we could get to be, take from a certain level, which we found, and now we're at another level, which we are, and we'll show those in upcoming videos. And then if we want to go back to looking for land, at least we have a home base
Right.
that we can actually see the land instead of buying it sight unseen, and you get there and you bought, 20 acres of marshland, you can't almost do nothing with it. And that's not 100% likely, but anything's possible. I mean, you buy land sight unseen, and I'm not saying that's a good idea, but that's just where we kind of were. But we just, like Dagny said, we just kind of came to the terms that it's better to have a home base.
Right.
And as we get older, if we still have an interest in buying 10 acres or 5 acres or 20 acres,
Maybe we'll do it then.
at least we can be at the house in Maine and maybe make a day trip and go physically look at it and think, that's a terrible idea. Or it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So that's
Jimmy actually found this property. It's in way northern Maine, and if you are a
in
long-term
Aroostook County, if I haven't said that.
a long-term subscriber, and I hope you are. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure and hit the subscribe and like button. That he found this way northern, and we've talked about, like on my videos, will be like, or of my live videos, it's usually on my live of whatnot, that Jimmy's in Maine, or we're going to Maine. And that was the reason, is because he was going up to check on the house and work on the house, or we were going as a family on vacation to look more on the house. So we always were like, we love Maine, the reason why we love Maine is we have a house in Maine. Now we can share that with you because we have made tremendous progress on this house.
Yeah.
So this house that he found is in a tiny little town that we really like in Aroostook
County, yep. Aroostook
And
County. Up north.
and I will I guess here might be a good point of putting in the inside footage of our first walk around in it. I
Sure.
did not do the outside, which I
we
kind of
have-
wish I did.
We have still pictures.
I think we have still
I
pictures.
do on my phone.
Okay, so it was March, so it was snowy, and of course, this place had been abandoned since 2018 or
So-
16.
2016.
2016.
So when she says abandoned, just so we're clear,
That's not clickbait.
well, it's not clickbait. So
No.
so nobody lived in it since
Since
2016.
Right.
But there was a gentleman that bought it that has a business where he buys these properties that per se, maybe they're a takeover for the bank. So he bought it years ago with the idea of fixing it up and getting it to a certain
flipping it,
level
maybe.
and flipping it, like getting it, like taking it from a 1, or if 1 to 5 and 5 is the best home ever, from a 1 and maybe getting up to a 3.
And he probably had to clear out like furniture.
I mean, maybe.
Because,
I mean, I don't know 100%, but maybe.
okay.
But maybe.
I would think that there was probably some personal items like furniture and
Right.
you know, because the refrigerator was there, the stove was there.
Well, yes.
So
yes.
I think he did like the real dirty work. Oh, I'm pushing the thing. The real dirty work of clearing out the house.
Right.
And so when we got it, it was we hadn't inspected it or like gone up there and checked
sight
it out.
unseen.
It was sight unseen. We just
Right.
went by.
We knew what we were getting into,
right?
but once again-
pictures and real estate agents.
But the cost was such a
so
number
good.
that even if you buy it and the house is in such and it wasn't, but if it's such bad shape, you just knock it down and you're still ahead of the game
over.
because you paid such little money
Right.
for it. But so then we went up and we saw it and
Together for the first
together.
time.
And that was last March or April.
Yeah, because that's where this footage is from. It was March.
Okay, March, okay.
And there was snow because no one had.
Well,
we had bought it, so
Right.
we had asked. He knew someone who could plow the snow. So the driveway was plowed, but like nothing. You know, you're not sweeping off your porch
No.
or anything like that. So when we got there, there was a back to it, and it was of course locked. And then we went around to the front, and we noticed that the front door. And I wish I'd filmed this, but
Yeah.
I think I was like just like, oh my gosh, the front door is wide open.
wide open.
Wide open. And here,
right here,
in Lancaster County,
right.
there would be critters in there.
Right.
There would be people in there.
Yeah, there'd be
It would have been
graffiti. There would have
spray
been
paint, yes.
people using the as a toilet. So
Yeah, there was nothing.
so we were a little.
There was nobody, nothing, no critters.
So with our mindset of where we live, walking through the door, we thought,
Oh, boy.
oh boy. But it's amazing
Yeah.
how, besides being old,
Yeah.
how pristine it was. I mean, it was.
It really
It really
was.
was. There's no graffiti. There was no one living in it. There was broken windows. There was
Yes.
water damage. We knew that going in already.
Because you could see the water.
Right.
But everything is fixable. That stuff's
Right.
fixable.
And it's already been done.
Walk into the kitchen. It's a fairly big kitchen. This is where we came from. Take you in here. Front room in here. This is the front of the house. That's the entryway. This is paneled hunting, well, or outdoorsy. I guess no one's hunting them yet. And then here is another little room. This painted wallpaper. It gets wallpaper a few times. There's a closet. Oh, there's the chimney. That's the furnace, I think. Here is the laundry room. And then through here is the bathroom. There's double sinks. And up through here.
Are you good?
Yep. This is a pretty tricky stair steps. So we have to get new steps because they're very short. Over here, this big room here. The ceilings aren't very high. There's right here. Oh, this looks like it has some wallpaper on there too. I see wallpaper. Oh, it's this wallpaper here. And this one here. And then another little room over here. Pink wallpaper. So what we're doing right now is just securing it, securing the windows. is the house.
It's almost. I pinch myself sometimes just how far it's like.
Yeah.
You know, when I look at pictures of.
We'll have to do like.
Well, it'll be. This is going to be multiple videos.
I know, but we'll have to do at the very, very end like a compilation from the like repeating of like, you know, of how this started, how we saw it, and then it's going to be amazing.
Right. Well, we're not going to show where we're at now. No. That's going to be in a future video. But
it's so cool.
It is. It is so cool. So there's been a lot of work that's been going to it, and I did get a hold of a guy. And before dropping this video, I did want to talk to him and see how much of his information I could drop. I will say his first name is John, and he was kind of working for the previous owner to like cut the grass and just kind of keep it manageable, you know, minor work. So when I had to get to that point, like we got to get our grass cut and we got to get the plant. So I reached out to the gentleman we purchased it from, and he told me about John, and John's been doing all my work, and he's, I mean,
well, it turns out, he's mowing our grass,
Yeah.
and so then it turned out he's a handyman.
Well, he is a property service company.
He knows how to
do everything. And if he doesn't, he'll figure it out. And he's been doing this kind of work. He's in mid-40s for his whole life, so you know he can troubleshoot anything because this is what he does. And he's a super. I mean, I told him numerous times. He probably thinks I'm gushing over him a little bit, but I mean, he's been so helpful in this process
because
that without him, it would not look how it looks today.
Because we were back here in Pennsylvania, Jimmy went up and met him in person.
That was in June.
And said, "This is what I would like to do." Of course, you have to start from the top down. So we had to get a new roof, and we had to see the inside, what's going on the inside, if there's damage or anything. So thankfully, John would send pictures to Jimmy and text him and be in contact with him. This is what needs to be done. So John has gotten us to where it's secure and safe and dry.
And that's a while ago.
And
that's
been
not
a while,
yeah,
right?
We got a new
Over
roof,
a year.
New doors, new windows, fix all the water damage.
Right.
I'm trying to think what else. I mean, just made it a secure building. Not that obviously that was a big deal. Once again, when we got to it, had a wide open door with no problems. But you know, just a feeling of comfort. We wanted it to know that it's a house just like our house here, where when we lock the doors,
it's safe.
You know, it's safe. So and that's where we are now. When I was up there, earlier in June. That's when the siding got done, and now it's just like, you gotta be kidding me.
You have to wait for those videos.
Yeah, I mean, it's just pinch me. It's how far it's come. It's just, and thank you, John. And he's been a pleasure to work with.
So the next video that we have planned is showing you the things that were wrong with it and the things how he fixed it, and then we have another. We went and did I went up and filmed a walkthrough, so you'll be seeing just the evolution slowly of the next couple videos of how the house has changed from what you're going to see it now on this video. And we're super excited. We're going to go back up in August, and then of course we're going to be able to start working on the inside, and that's what Jimmy and I are super excited about doing. And then we have John as our backup of like, how do you do this?
Yeah, then, we're stuck here or whatever, and he's just such a good guy to work with. So, and also too, what I want to say. So right now the outside, you know, everything's good. I mean, secure, actually looking pretty.
I think people are going to watch the videos and be like, oh boy, but it's a happy ending.
It's a happy ending, and it's, I mean, and also not that he watches our videos. I know he doesn't, but the gentleman, the neighbor, Gordon. He's very meticulous with his house, and his
house was our goal.
That was where we wanted to be. Not look exactly like it, but be like a very nice. It's a small house, but be a very nice, cozy small house.
Sure.
And he's kind of being. That's why I told John over and over. You know, Gordon's house is kind of my template because I don't want to just band-aid this thing. I want to. You know, we got to rip out walls, and John's done so much work. New foundations on both sides of a kitchen addition. Tore down the back porch. But
we'll show that on other videos. Maybe not tell them that.
No, so and then also one thing too is there was some stuff left behind, not a lot. So the basement is called a wet basement.
I was hoping that there was a whole bunch of, go ahead. I was hoping that there was a whole bunch of stretch glass faces and mid-century modern decor in the basement, but
there wasn't.
What kind of basement is it?
So it's called a wet basement because it's got a dirt floor. And but it's a basement that we're never going to use. I mean, it's something that could be addressed in the future, but it's almost doesn't even show up on the list, right? Just because it just is what it is. And then behind, so the inside right now, just to give you, is it okay to say this?
No, just you were talking about this.
Finding stuff. Well, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get take a breath. Take a breath, Jimmy. So in the basement, the previous owners, going back probably 10 years ago, they had a lot of canning jars and just old glass jars, which I thought were neat. So so some were broken, a lot weren't. So I cleared out the basement of all those, and I think maybe you'll have those on a future whatnot sale, because some of them, like old, like you said, they were juice things. I thought they were milk containers.
Well, there's milk containers, there's juice containers, and then there's canning jars.
Right.
And I know like the I could look at one. Here are the jars. There are a lot of mason jars. So there's this one that has a really cool, I don't know if you can see it, has a mason jar star, mason jar, and there's a star here. And this is number 20. But then there's also the Atlas, Hazel Atlas jars that have the top to it that would have had the zinc top. I don't know if we still have some of the zinc. The
glass tops?
Oh, they were glass or
They were glass tops.
Oh,
no, they were glass. They were glass tops,
okay.
right. And
so I know that some of these are real popular. I know this has a Hazel Atlas on the bottom of it. I know certain people like certain numbers of them. But we thought, and so this has some wear, of course, but they're all super clean.
Yeah.
And we thought, why not? We're not going to just throw them away. We could sell them on the cheap.
Yeah.
And you can look how cute this would be to have like a little terrarium in there, or some fairy lights in there. And then there's also big size wide mouth ball jars.
And this one's really neat because
It says made in USA.
Sorry.
That's
But
okay.
isn't that measurements on the side there?
Yeah, it has measurements on the side for canning and stuff like that.
So I don't know how old they are. I mean, I don't know if they're super old, but they might be a little old. But they're just neat, and like Dagny said, I mean, you could
do all kinds of
stuff. I mean, I don't know if you want to use them as canning jars because
and the lids are easy to get.
Oh, and also because some of the, I don't know if you can see, but some of the, sorry, you do that. Some of the things are rusty, so you would they just pop right out, and you could either get another one or just not even use it for a canning jar, use it for something else.
If you see these on Future Whatnot shows, that's where they came from. They were imported from
And we have quite a
Maine.
few and quite a few different shapes and sizes, and we have some bigger, I guess, half-gallon juice.
I think they're juice and orange juice. They're the orange juice. And I think milk.
Like you could like, use them to put a goldfish. I mean, you could use them to put a plant.
Yeah.
And you could all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but the really exciting thing is we were digging through these. Jimmy had kind of consolidated all of the all of the jars, and I saw something green, and they actually have 2 jadeite coffee mugs, which I'm keeping. So that kind of brings you up to speed on our big news of buying the abandoned property in Maine.
Northern Maine.
Northern Maine.
Aroostook
Way
County.
Northern Maine. So next time when we're going up to Maine, we're going up to actually work on the property, and we'll be videoing and sharing more of those videos with you guys. But we waited a year to share the news just because it was such a long process, and you never know, like you don't want to say we bought a house in Maine and then like never tell you guys
6
again,
months later we
really,
remind you that we bought a house in Maine and here's some of the progress. So we're starting to
we've built up a couple. I think we have like at least three videos to share with you, and kind of throw those out there every once in a while. And we really hope you enjoy coming along the journey of seeing us fix up the inside and of course more of the outside and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so when I was up there in June, I was just by myself with meeting with John and kind of going over the next step and seeing the house and the outside complete. It's just like, oh my gosh.
It's amazing.
I love this.
And
so
I don't
much.
feel like we're ruining the surprise that it's amazing. I think it's kind of like, okay,
it's a build up.
What did they buy? Oh my gosh, look what they bought.
Yeah.
But you kind of know it's a happy ending at the end. So
It's
you're going
very,
to be super excited to
and
see what we've done
it's
with
a
it.
great area, and there's just so
and we all
much,
like it up there, so it's going to be a lot of
quiet
fun.
and simple.
Yeah.
Not that anything's wrong with our area, but it's just gotten busier. I was born here and raised here, and of course now I'm not young, so I've seen a lot of changes. And
so build up, but that's because people like it here.
Right.
But we would
there's
like
jobs
to,
and there's good things here, and I get that. But as we get older, we realized that we don't necessarily want to be here.
More simple life.
We want a simpler life, and and just enjoy each other's company and that. So yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed this video. It'll be probably put under a separate playlist, Main House. So if you want to find it again, and if you have any comments or suggestions, please put them below. And we look forward to seeing you on the next installment of this old Main House.
Yeah, and just tell us what you think of this opportunity. I mean, it's been fun. I would say we're excited, but it's been a year for us, so we've been excited. But
we're getting more excited,
right? Just because just like we all see in our lives, we're seeing the progress, and it's come so far, and it's like night and day, and so yeah.
All right, we'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.